Oh, it's preparing.
We're here.
Hopefully. Hopefully, I'm going to check. I'm going to just go and look on the page to check that we are here, because we should be here now.
Okay.
But who knows? Hopefully that worked. But nothing's come up. So somebody could let me kind of just, somebody can post a message and say, we are.
I've just got a notification. Hey.
Oh, I can hear us. How can I hear us? Okay. Yes. Sorry. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, Facebook decided to have a little hissy fit this morning, which freaked me out and didn't seem to be working, but it does seem to be working now. So hopefully you're with us. Apologies for the slight delay. And we're very excited this morning to have Fiona Hunter with us. And Fiona is going to be talking about the materials that she's developed and now sells through her own company, Kids Club English. So without further ado, as we're a little bit behind, I'm going to pass over to Fiona. And so Fiona, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself to start with?
Yeah, I've probably said a few times that like what I usually do is run courses for very young learners and primary students as kind of extracurricular activities in their schools. So I'll be doing that for about 6 or 7 years. This year, not, because I can't, but that's what I normally do. And then I'd say maybe about 3 years ago, I was creating the materials for my own courses. So then I thought I'll give it a go, and I started self-publishing those materials. So starting off with other platforms, and then I had my own website, and maybe about 2 years ago I started putting things on there. So basically the resources to most of them are resources with like craft activities and worksheets and games to kind of supplement storybooks, but I've got some topic-based stuff as well, and yeah, it's kind of what I use in my courses, but now I'm selling them. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But maybe I can say how I kind of went down that road. Basically, was just because as a teacher, and I've kind of taught in quite a few different contexts, and the full gambit, like most people, from young learners to adults, and I've always liked making or adapting worksheets and stuff, and I just enjoy that kind of process. So I was kind of into doing that anyway. And I'd say, like, when I first started doing my courses in the schools, I wasn't using course books. So what I was doing really was spending a lot of time searching around the internet and finding like some worksheets or something, but I was always adapting them anyway. And so then I started kind of creating my own things from scratch, and yeah, and then I think I'd heard of like Teachers Pay Teachers, and that's where I was kind of, I thought, oh, this is great, like people, maybe I can make some pennies on the side, just because I'm making this stuff anyway. Why maybe I can just make a little bit of income on the side from this. So then that's when I kind of started looking into it a bit more, but had a bit of a wake-up call, I think.
Excellent. I mean, it's great that you're here today to kind of share your experiences of this kind of process as you went through it, because I'm sure that there are lots of other people in the group who are perhaps thinking about selling things through Teachers Pay Teachers, which is one site that I know quite a few people are familiar with. Then we're going to look at setting up on your own as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've kind of talked a little bit about why you decided to start creating these materials, and you've talked about using sites like Teachers Pay Teachers, but what made you decide to self-publish in the end?
I just thought, I kind of just thought this could, I'm not somebody who kind of like, I thought, right, I'm going to make a go of this and I'm going to try and make loads of money from like my own materials. That wasn't the case at all. I think I'm probably a bit reticent. And this is kind of strange for me. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this, because I don't tend to put myself out there that much, and I'm trying to get better at that. And I think it was sort of the same kind of reticence with my materials. You know, it wasn't that sure. It was like, well, will people want this? Will it be any use? So I just kind of, it was a way to kind of just see, and just see where it goes. It's all been quite kind of organic, and it's kind of taken its own route now. But I mean, I think I was always interested in materials writing, and I'd kind of thought about, you know, working for big publishers and all the rest of it. But at the time, you know, my job was teaching, and that's where my time was kind of created. So I kind of thought, well, this is quite a low risk sort of thing. It's like, well, what's the harm? let's just try, put a few things out there. If something comes of it, then great. If it doesn't, then I've kind of built myself a little bit of a portfolio. And if I do want to go into materials writing one day, then I've got a nice collection of stuff that I can show to publishers. And also it's kind of the time commitment. Like, I wasn't willing to kind of think, okay, well, I want to try and get a job materials writing and have to deal with deadlines and have to, you know, deal with a lot of other things where I thought, well, what if I don't have the time to do it? So this has been kind of great, because, you know, like a lot of teachers, your routine changes a lot in the summer, and so there'll be like months have gone past where I've done nothing at all to do with materials and nothing at all to do with my website, and it's just, you know, it's great. You know, there's a little bit of passive income kind of trickling in, and yeah, there's a lot of things I like about it, because I'm making what I'm using. So I'm not writing for somebody else. Well, kind of, you know, but, you know, you're not, it's satisfying being able to see that other people are able to kind of make use of things that you've created and, you know, that you're using in your own classes. So I think that's really gratifying, and it's quite nice when you get like feedback from your customers. It still feels like a dirty word, that, to me. but you know, if getting that kind of feedback from customers and the interaction directly with customers, and it's about, you know, your stuff. So it's, yeah, you get a bit of a buzz out of that. So yeah, that's kind of what got me just testing the water. And I've probably I think I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. I don't claim to be an expert. And I think if there's people that are thinking about doing the same thing, that you could probably achieve a lot more in a shorter space of time than what I have, you know, because I've just been kind of, I try to sort of see it as a hobby, you know, something that I was just playing with, and just let's just see where it goes. But if I'd kind of had a little bit more kind of confidence and put myself out there a little bit more to begin with, I think that you would kind of see the value in it straight away, you know.
Although, I mean, I think it's really interesting that you say, obviously you were creating these materials for yourself primarily anyway, and then kind of earning a bit of extra money from them on the side was obviously a bonus at the time. So do you think, because you talked about kind of not approaching a publisher, what do you think are the benefits of doing it yourself? You mentioned deadlines and you know, not having that pressure of having to get things done.
Yeah. Well, now I'll know a little bit more about like publishers. So maybe I think I was just a bit of a scaredy cat, you know. I kind of thought, well, you know, I'm not good enough. Yeah, I think the benefits are some of the things that I already mentioned, that, like, you know, you're getting to, well, you might be getting to use what you're creating yourself, the relationship with the customers, the fact you don't have deadlines, but also I think if you enjoy doing a little bit of everything, and I always have, so like, and I like learning new things. So I think the thing is, with if you're doing it yourself, you are doing everything yourself. So you know, I've learned a bit about, you know, making your own graphics, manipulating stuff like that, creating the previews, the whole process is quite interesting. Obviously, it's I think, you know, I've said to you before, like as a teacher, I was quite, you know, you want to do a really good job, and I think it could be as a challenge. But it's also one of the good things is that you have to be a jack of all trades, and, so, and that's kind of meant that I've probably had to become a lot better at just being like, well, it's maybe not perfect, but you know, it's good enough, because I'm not a designer, I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not a website designer, you know, I'm not a marketer, like that's you know, all of those kind of things, but you get to dabble in everything, and I think that's quite fun. It's fun learning like new things. Like
I mean, I think that's a really interesting point. Like Michelle's just commented as well, self-publishing allows you 100% control over your materials. So
well,
maybe
that's true. Yeah.
have something in mind and it's like, well, this is how I want it to look
Yeah.
and feel.
I guess,
well.
yeah. It's that, yeah, see, because I haven't gone down the traditional route, then I don't know so much about some of the disadvantages of that. But yeah, that is true. And I mean, like, I think, you know, the things that I've made from sort of my perspective of things that I found sort of frustrating as a teacher. So like, for example, like a lot of the packs and stuff that I do, like I include lots of variations of the same resource for differentiated abilities or different age groups, because especially with stories, I'll use the same story sometimes with, like, you know, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 7-year-olds, you know, like, and I create these sort of differentiated resources. Some of my packs are like, some of them are over 300 pages long, which is ridiculous, but there might be like maybe like 10, 11 like core resources. If I took that to a publisher, where, you know, there's no way they would publish that because they need to get the space down. So what I'm doing are, you know, there are these PDF downloads, and I don't have those kind of limitations. So I can, yeah, that's a good point about control.
No, that's great. Yeah, no, I mean, as well, like you say, course book providers, they tend to have kind of an idea for how big the book is going to be, and there's very little wiggle room. I remember somebody else saying before, like, can I just add an extra page here? And it was like, well, no, because that's actually an extra 8 pages across or something. It's incredible. Yeah.
And I think also like who you're writing for, like, so you don't have any sort of restraints on, you know, you can't include this kind of content or that kind of content, and you're not trying to market to like such a big you know, group of people. So I mean, while it is different from what I was, you know, if I was just doing it for myself in my classroom, in my context, then obviously things are very tailored to my students. So if you are like publishing stuff, then you are thinking about a wider group of people, but it doesn't have to be so wide. It's very niche, so it allows you to kind of focus on, you know, what you particularly need and what teachers in your kind of niche need.
So let's think about this in a bit more detail. So how have you found creating materials to sell and for other teachers to use to be different to creating things just for yourself?
The prettiness. Like, I mean, you know, like as a teacher, I wasn't really not really bothered. Of course, you want your things to be, you know, that you're using with your students to be nice, but they don't have to be pretty. They need to be useful. And I think that some of the things that, you know, I used before, it's, you know, they're all right, but they weren't particularly attractive because I wasn't thinking about how they would appeal to other people. You know, things like, I remember a conversation we had like years ago about oh, I did like the TILEC course, or different people pronounce it in different ways, but you know, a course for teaching young learners, and not having a pretty sort of logo or something on the top of the worksheet that, you know, and being told, well, no, you should have made that look more attractive for your students. You know, I remember at the time kind of thinking like, what? You know, the point is it's got to be kind of useful. But yes, if you are wanting to sell to other teachers, they have to kind of look more appealing, I think, and just look that bit more professional. You know, so you and obviously you don't need to write your own instructions. So like if you're making for your own class, you know exactly what how you're planning on using that. So being able to communicate that well, how teachers can use things. So I mean, I include like activity suggestions for each resource, not kind of prescriptive, you know, follow steps 1, 2, 3, but I include suggestions so that to give teachers ideas about how they could use that resource, and so they, you know, they have that kind of clarity, because yeah, a lot of things it's not obvious at first glance, but yeah, so that's being able to communicate how to use things, making them pretty, and yeah, I think that, well, thinking about copyright and things like that, because if you're creating your own material for your own personal classroom use, you know, you can use certain images and that's fine. But if you're using it for commercial purposes, then it changes. So one of the first things I did, I got all excited. I was like, oh look, I can, you know, I had to look on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I was like, oh, I could do that. And then I thought, oh gosh, right, I've really got to sort out all of my images. And so one of the first things I started doing was doing that, organizing what are the copyright okay ones, what aren't, and then creating a kind of a system for myself so that any images I got, you know, I was storing them in the right way, so I knew how to, that it was okay to use those things. Yeah, so that was that's quite a big important difference, and I've made mistakes with that as well. But yeah, so I'd say that's one of the key ones.
I mean, do you want to tell us a bit more about the images? Because I think you've created a lot of your own images as well, haven't you now?
Yes, but I do adapt a lot. I don't know if maybe I can, well, I'll share my screen and I'll show you just kind of the main things I use. So let's see, go here. Is it this one? Okay, so a lot of people probably know Pixabay. That was kind of my first port of call. So there's a lot of things on there that are open source. And FreePic is the other one that I use a lot. So quite often, yeah, because, you know, I wasn't wanting to spend a lot of money, and it's really expensive to buy clip art, isn't it? So, you know, that I'll look for what is open source available. I'm trying to get better at, because a lot with these two anyway, with FreePic and Pixabay, it's appreciated if you acknowledge and accredit the author. So I'm trying to get better at that. So when I save the files, I'll save it with the author's name and the file, so I can put that somewhere, or in my like terms of use I can mention them. But quite often they're not perfect. they're not what I actually want. So what I'll do is I'll download images and then I'll adapt a lot of them. And I'll use this, which kind of looks a bit scary to begin with, but GIMP.
It hasn't changed. We're still on the Pixabay.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'll try this again.
I'm amazed by the name of it, GIMP.
I know. Forgotten what it stands for actually, but it's open source software. It's basically does the job of Photoshop, but it's free. So I'll use this, and yeah, there's so many things on this so many tools I don't use, but it looks scary. But if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I'm no artist. But I don't know, for example, you know, okay, so that's like an image from Pixabay. So I was looking for people. But one of the, you know, so I'll just take that background off. So, you know, you maybe you want to get rid of this white space, you know, you can do that really easily, highlighting that. It's probably going to be a bit slow because I'm sharing the screen. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to let me show you, but I mean, you can, I've used this a lot because to convert images from color to black and white, for example, because like a lot of what I wanted to use were for craft materials or teachers that don't want to print in color, or maybe they can't print in color. Then that was one of the major things to begin with, is how can I create black and white images? And a lot of what you'll find on Pixabay and FreePic are in color. So, I mean, I wonder if I can just go to PowerPoint, can I? Well, can you see that, or do I need to keep changing?
No, it's long gimp again, I'm afraid.
Oh no! I wonder why it's doing that. So I'm just going to stop again 1 second. So there should be, you can just share your dashboard, right?
Yeah, you should be able to just kind of share screen normally. Yeah,
that's what I did, but I'm going to try, see if there's a portion. Right, so if I just a quick test, so that's me in PowerPoint, that's me in GIMP. Can you see that?
Yep, you click GIMP and PowerPoint then.
Okay, so if I was in PowerPoint, let's just put an image over. Let's see, what have I got? Okay, food. All right, okay, well, there's a fish. Right. So you've got all these tools in PowerPoint, which sometimes can do the trick. So you can switch it to black and white. So that might do, but a lot of images are maybe a little bit more intricate. So that's where I think a tool like GIMP can be quite useful. So, you know, if I drag that into here, I might have to give up on this if it's too slow, but, you know, it's quite, it's hard to manipulate everything on the screen, actually, too many things up. But, you know, this is where having software like that you're using, it's easier to kind of manipulate, to change images from black to white, to delete color, to create new layers. So I found that really useful. And things like that, this was, I mean, that image, I got the head from a picture of a man in a suit on Pixabay, I think. And then, but for this one, I was doing something for the Smartest Giant in town, and I wanted to practice clothes language. So like being able to kind of use other images and like layer them and manipulate them, and then you change expression for emotion. Like you can do all that kind of thing, and you know, in here, like it's really easy. I think I've got his arm highlighted at the moment. So yeah, like I'd kind of chop up bodies, and then I wonder if I can do this. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong tool. Yeah, I don't, but you know, I can kind of chop things up and twist arms, so it's, you know, different things are in different positions. So that's basically how I would do the images.
And I mean, this is all you self-taught as well, and trial and seeing what works.
Yeah, exactly. It's just playing around, and that's fine if you know, if you enjoy doing that. And I'm quite sort of stubborn, and I quite like just puzzling things out. And yeah, to begin with, I've maybe found one way, and then you know, I've realized a couple of months down the line, like, oh, I can do that so much quicker if I do it this way, you know. So there's been a lot of just trial and error, and a lot of like looking on videos on YouTube. Yeah, and I have done some images myself, and I really, I'm not very good at drawing. I want to show you, I wonder if I can show you my head to toe, right? So from the book From Head to Toe, that's, so I go to my website here. Okay, well, yeah, so if I just put in here. So this one, I mean, I drew, because sometimes you just can't find the images you want. So I drew a lot of these children, but look at the stainless. You know, I mean, it's kind of maybe you can't see. So well, in fact, I'm going to show you on, because I don't have it listed on my website, but I thought because I did do all the images, maybe I can tell the clip art. I want, it's kind of curiosity. Oh, the wrong thing. I wonder if, go to my store, anyone would find the clip art useful. And I was really surprised because people did buy this. Let's see.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Like, I mean, I laugh. But the point is, it's useful because that image represents what you need it to represent. Let's see. Here we go. So animals, but again, like, so that gorilla. I wonder, maybe
you might need to share your screen again with us.
Oh, right. Have I not done that?
All right.
Okay, here. Right.
Oh,
so
cool.
this is a preview, but yeah, like, so I'll maybe got a picture of an elephant's head, but then so we've got him stomping his foot, and I might have a monkey head, but then I've just drawn the body. But look at these children.
Doing all right.
I mean, a lot of broken bones there, but this, but yeah. So and that's it's just playing around with the software, and yeah, if I can do it, anybody can do that. But it does take time, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. But then have you found that things have gotten quicker as well when you become more familiar with the tools and things?
Yeah, it's like anything. You learn a new skill and it takes a while, but then you get a lot quicker at doing things. And I think the thing is, I mean, obviously I'm kind of talking about kids materials, but once you've got your images, that's kind of the key bit. Like, that might take a while to get them how you want, but then you can then use them in a lot of different resources. So that gets a lot quicker. Yes.
Cool. So, I mean, let's have a think now, because there was a question that came up. Simon mentioned kind of about branding and things. So how have you built your brand, and what sort of things have you had to consider along the way?
I think I've made a lot of mistakes with that. But I mean, yeah, because again, going back to sort of starting off with this, it's like, oh, right, I'll need to have a cover page, like, for your resources. And so you can have thumbnails and previews and that kind of thing. So yeah, you need to kind of think about that. I mean, I chose this worm. In fact, I don't know, I've got a puppet made of it.
What's his name?
Winston. He's a bit posh, but anyway. Yeah, so I found that image. Now, if I think about it, I could have created that completely from scratch myself, but that's not what I did. I mean, and you'll find the kind of the bookworm one on other websites. So it would have been much better if I'd kind of created my own logo image. So I didn't. I used that, and then I've adapted him in different poses for different things. So I've got kind of for craft materials, he's got scissors and glue. Mistakes I did. So the first few things I did, I had that image with the glue, for example, but it had like Prit on it, so you can't have any, like, because it was the brand of the glue, so you have to just edit that out. But yeah, thinking about the logo, and thinking about fonts, and thinking about your kind of color palette, which I'd never heard of actually until quite recently. And I was kind of thinking more about the website. So I wish I'd kind of known a little bit more about that to begin with. It's like, well, okay, just choose the fonts that you're going to use that you'd like. Make sure they're going to be like really clear if they're on like a thumbnail, because I think a lot of mine I've got, if I don't know, I can just show you my resources page. I want to actually change that. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'll go back to just share screen. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So on my, let's just get rid of this head tool bit. So on the resources page, on my newer ones, I'm not putting any border on them. I wouldn't put any. I think it tends to look better on a lot of social media things as well if you don't have like a big border, but some of my older ones, I did this kind of flag thing,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't really like flags anyway. But I kind of thought, well, I need to make sure people know this is for, like, you know, teaching other languages, you know, and it doesn't, I guess you could use it not just to teach English, because a lot of the resources are non-text based, or they can be. But yeah, so I don't particularly like that. But some of this font that I chose, I mean, it's okay, but I mean, with the red, it's not actually that visible when it's on a small thumbnail like that. So thinking about fonts and thinking about, yeah, like what colors you want to use at the beginning, and just spend a bit of time on it, because I rushed through that stage, really. But yeah, I don't think I'm an expert on building a brand for sure, but then it's I suppose you need to be kind of just consistent across every forum, so people start to associate, you know, that font and that brand and that kind of color combination with your stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. Like a little bit of consistency is start, as you say, and especially if you're trying to market things in different places, like on Instagram and LinkedIn. And we were chatting before. I remember you saying that you'd had problems because of sizing the images, or like thumbnails with different sizes on different sites and things.
Yeah. Again, it's just before you create any image, or, you know, for social media, which I'm just kind of getting into, or for your resources, just Googling, like, what are the best dimensions for, you know, this particular place. I keep jumping in and out of sharing this screen thing here, but I want to show you. So on Teachers Pay Teachers, so where I started, if we look at, so this is in my store on there. So like this kind of square size. Oh no, I'm still on my clip art, aren't I? Get rid of that. That square size is what shows better. So there's a difference between, you know, like this kind of square ones to this kind of thing, you know, and everything I did to begin with was that. And really, it's another thing on the to-do list, which is to go back and change all of those, and it takes a long time to do that. So just making sure you know what dimensions suit. And I think, can I do, if I go back to PowerPoint here.
We're still on the web page at the moment.
Yeah. So PowerPoint now?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so for example, that Teachers Pay Teachers, let's get rid of this. So the first thing I do going to PowerPoint always is just the design bit and changing your size. And like this goes for making resources as well, like before you get to the thumbnail, but that's one thing I made a mistake with. I didn't really think about what sort of size. I make everything in PowerPoint, but I always choose A4. So like to begin with, I wasn't doing that, and what I found was when you print things, you'd end up with a space at the bottom and a space, you know, underneath, and it just didn't look so good. So changing that, those dimensions. But for thumbnails, again, like, so say you Google it and it says, it usually says in pixels. So, you know, 750 pixels, I think it is for PowerPoint. I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that? Because that's like centimeters, but apparently you just put in like pixels and it'll convert it,
Excellent.
which is great. Like, good. But yeah, I just keep a record of, you know, different sizes for different things. And yeah. Yeah, and there you go. And then anything new that I do, I basically just open up an old document and then I resave it and edit it that way.
So what made you decide to use PowerPoint as your basis for creating the materials?
I think I read it somewhere. I heard, you know, people saying there's probably a lot of other tools now. Like I know now that a lot of people you can do a lot in Canva. So I know they've got worksheet templates and things in there now as well, don't they? I started doing this like a while ago, and this was what I kind of knew. The first thing I ever did was Word. I did like a kind of mini games book thing. And it's a real pain because it's really difficult to move things around, like and format things. With PowerPoint, you can move things really easily, manipulate things really easily. But I think also, say if I came to I'm just going to try and stop this 1 second. I'll maybe just describe this. So like if you create something in PowerPoint and you've got your pages and that's your resource, then the next thing you need to do is be able to make your thumbnails and your previews and all of that. So with PowerPoint, it's really, really easy to just save things as a JPEG, where you don't have that option in PowerPoint. So I wonder, is there any point in me demonstrating this, or is this going to be boring for people?
No, I think it's really interesting, like what you say about being able to move things and layering as well in Word is just...
Yeah. I do want to just show you how easy this is. So I'm going to try again that portion of the screen. If I can just quickly... sorry, just 1 second.
Right. Just whilst you're setting up, because you mentioned Canva as well, and there are options in Canva Premium. You can pay and do that. We've just found out it's €110 a year for the premium.
Okay.
So I guess if it's something that you're like, for people who are thinking about doing this, if it's going to be that you're going to be doing a lot of resizing and things.
Yeah, I think all these tools that are available are great. It's just I tend to, especially if you're not sure if you're going to carry on with it, then I don't like investing in things like that. And then you're kind of, it's good, but then you're kind of hooked into it, because I think that's the thing. Like with Canva, I did have a little bit of a play with it more recently, and I'm like, well, if I use these fonts on there, then I can't use those fonts in other places. So I think it's quite good to, I think Dafont is where I've got a few things from, and you can donate to the font creators. And so like, so I've just bought the fonts, but like, I've paid like €5 or dollars or something, like a donation to use that font. And then I can use it in anything, because it's not just PowerPoint. Like, you think of digital resources, there's like another platform I'll maybe share with you after, that you can create your things there. So being able to use your own fonts on everything is, so that's the kind of benefit, I think. Another one from just using PowerPoint. Right, okay, I'm just going to show you this. So these are some tips that I found. Back to this. Okay. Right, so if you've got your kind of thumbnail size there, so let's see. So this is from Going on a Bear Hunt pack. Actually, I've just kind of skipped this. Well, okay, imagine you've got a resource there and you've saved it, you've converted it, so you've saved it as, I've got this all in Spanish actually, but save it as, okay, whatever. Save it as, your PDF, which is there. So do that. So that's your resource done. And then you want to make your thumbnail. So then you just save it as a JPEG, and that creates a photograph of every single, image in your resource, which means it's kind of better quality. Than I know you can use tools like Snippet to, but it's a bit of a faff if you're trying to do that with loads of things. So come out of that. So like, for example, this is my bear hunt pack. So that's what I did. I shared everything as a JPEG, and they're all just then become photographs. So say, let's just choose, right? So say these are my jigsaws for that. All you'd have to do is kind of highlight them all and drag them in, and go to your images bit, and I do that shadow one. So it makes it really easy then if you're like sort of resizing things and then layering them underneath each other and putting text over the top. This isn't great just now, but yeah. Silly things that I've learned, honestly, that I spent ages on, but just I think everyone's much better with this now with all this whole online shenanigans, but like being able to just select everything at once and change things at once, just like little tools like that that have kind of been like, oh my goodness, I can do something that's so much quicker. But yeah, so it's recommended that you create JPEGs, that you do this kind of layering thing so that people can't just go and then steal your images afterwards with a tool like Snippet. And you can put text over the top to explain what it is, etc. So yeah, that's kind of useful. And then once you've done these, then you're saving again as another JPEG. So that basically, it's good enough to see what it is, but it's not good enough to then copy and use if someone was trying to pirate you. So that there's a thumbnail part, and then there's the making the PDF sort of previews, downloadable previews. So it's kind of a good idea to be able to show people as much as possible, but just still protecting your work. So even just doing a simple thing like putting across, 2 lines over your work and saying what it is.
I mean, it's one of those tricky situations, isn't it? You kind of want to share your things, but then once it's gone and it's been downloaded, you never know what people are doing with it, and sometimes things do pop up on other sites, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think I did think about that to begin with, but there's nothing much you can really do. You can take those kind of steps, like making it less easy, but to share bits and bobs. But I mean, it's not. I think you kind of have to accept it. You can encourage people to do, to do things, and like sharing PDFs. I mean, you can encourage people to buy like another license for other people to use, or to use school-wide and that kind of thing. But whether they do or not, it's kind of out of your hands. It's true.
Yeah. So let's have a think now about the selling side of things. You've mentioned Teachers Pay Teachers. Are there any other sites that you've sold on or that you've heard about that you'd recommend?
Yeah, well, I mean, Teachers Pay Teachers is the big one. And I do still make more sales through that than I do through my own site, because I've not really been marketing my site that much. I'm hoping I might be able to change that. But the benefit of using these other platforms is you're just reaching so many more people, and all of the kind of softwares in place for you, so it's with Teachers Pay Teachers, it's easy for people to leave a review, for them to say like which fields they work in as well, so that you can kind of see who's actually buying your things. So yeah, Teachers Pay Teachers. But I have got a few things on like TES, but to be honest, I think they're revamping their whole site. So I think it will get better, but the thing that's not so great about them is their ability to kind of show good previews. So like they don't really have, it doesn't really make it easy to kind of showcase your stuff. So I've put a few things on, and then I thought, well, it's not worth bothering with for now.
And with sites like Teachers Pay Teachers and the Times Educational Supplement, is that what it is? Do they take a commission for things that are sold?
Yeah, so with Teachers Pay Teachers, you can go on and create like a basic seller account, and I think you get something like 65% of the money. If you pay for the premium sellers account, and I would recommend it if you've got a few things, even just a handful of things, I think it makes a difference. I think it's like 85% of the sale that you get. With TES, it's interesting. I need to find out about that, because it's like the tax thing is different with different countries. So like with Teachers Pay Teachers, for example, some states are, like, because mostly it is in the United States, majority of people on that platform, some states will have, like, they've got the relationship, they've got all the things in place so that tax will immediately kind of come off at the point of sale. And with TES, that's what happens as well. So your like VAT comes off, which I think you can kind of claim back, but I'm not bothered yet, because so yeah, obviously setting up your own website, you can do that. And I think now, when I started off my website, like, it had nothing to do with selling resources. You know, I was like, so I've redesigned my site like 3 times, I think, at least. But that started off more about as a way for me to kind of curate song playlists, stories, things that I wanted to use in my class, and things to share with parents, so the kids were getting more exposure to English at home. And then I've kind of added in my resources for sale on there as well. But yeah, if you're, I think that you know, it's obviously, if you've got your own website, then the money that you're making from your sales is from you. There's nobody taking commissions. But yeah, you've got to think about how do you get traffic to your site, and the kind of the marketing side of things, the website design itself. I think now it's a lot easier now to you know, kind of set up your websites. Speak to Harry, actually. He seems to have done a really good job with the renewable English one. But like there's easy tools, you know, so you get like plugins. Easy digital downloads is what I use, but WooCommerce is the big one, and it makes it really easy for you to sell your own things and have them listed on your own site. There's another one that people don't know a lot about, but if you're interested in digital materials, and I really want to find the time to play more with this, is Boom Learning. I'm just going to try and share that with you. Where are we? Okay, yeah, so it's Teachers Pay Teachers. Oh, that's TES. Boom cards. So these are kind of digital task cards. These are a few things I've done, but so yeah, you can. They've got their own marketplace as well. But these are. I wonder. See if I can edit deck. You can kind of create backgrounds in PowerPoint, and then you can add on, like, make elements like draggable, create right answers. And I really like how they do the preview on this. So they do like, okay, again, come on, Fiona, there's a stick man. Conscious of the time and I'm.
No, that's fine. Well, 5 for me.
Yeah, so they do have this live kind of preview so that people can see things. You can add in audio. I won't let you listen to my terrible voice on that. Hear me enough. But yeah, so you can listen, doing sort of listen and well, obviously not listening. There you go. There's the right answer. And you can kind of have a go at. But some people have created really, even if you're not thinking about making your own materials, there are a few free things on here as well to try out with your classes. But yeah, so this is another one. Just go and explore that one. Let's waste any.
And so these are kind of dynamic activities, interactive.
Yeah, so you can play on your phone, on your tablet, and
wow.
Or in the classroom on the interactive whiteboard. So yeah, so you can make things here, and actually it's quite a fast process, I would say, with this. What other things? One thing where I don't have anything on yet, but I'm thinking about it, is listing things on Etsy, because I never ever associated that with printables.
Yeah.
They're like, that's me searching there, printables education. There's quite a lot on there. A lot of it is mainly for kids. I've not seen a lot for adults, but I think there's this sort of thinking about your kind of market, if you like. I think I found it quite interesting. I'm still getting a feel for things, but what I've found is that a lot of people that are buying my things on platforms like Teachers Pay Teachers, they're speech therapists, or they're working in special education, or they're homeschooling. So there's this whole other sort of world outside of ELT that, you know, I wasn't intending to kind of reach, but actually, you know, we all know, like, as kind of TEFL teachers, it's not like we're the richest people in the world, so we probably don't want to invest lots of money on buying like individual resources, but there are other areas that you can kind of look at where there's a lot of crossover with what we do, I think, especially when you're talking about young learners. So yeah, it's just quite interesting, like just seeing these people from different kind of walks of life.
Awesome. We have had a couple of questions come in. One was about how you decide your pricing. Like, yeah, how do you know how much your things are worth?
I just look at what else is out there. I have been told I think probably again, like kind of a lack of confidence. I thought, well, I'll put as much as I can into these packs, like to begin with, because it'll need to be like good value. And I've probably underpriced, because like what a lot of people will say on Teachers Pay Teachers, again, keep going back to that, because that's where you've got forums, and I don't know a lot of people, and please tell me if you're doing this. I don't know a lot of people in the ELT industry who are doing this. So like where I'm kind of finding out what other people are doing, they're maybe in a slightly parallel kind of stream to me, and they're maybe you know, they're selling to creating things for people in grade school in the States, but like, yeah, they'll say, you know, if you think about the amount of time that you spend on things. So I think, you know, people talk about the hours, which I've never been good at logging hours, but they'll say like, say you've spent like 40 hours on a resource, then I don't know, you'll charge like, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but somewhere between $5 and $10 or something like that on the state. I've never done that. I just looked at like, okay, well, who's doing things which are kind of similar to what I'm doing, and what are they charging? And then I've kind of pitched it at that. And then, you know, so I've looked at, because I started off on Teachers Pay Teachers, then I've looked at that, and then I've thought, okay, well, what would that be in euros? Yeah. And you have to kind of bear in mind, you know, that, you know, you've got, depending on how you're selling, like that there's, if you're doing it on your own website, there are like commission fees or transaction fees for PayPal, and for, you know, how people are actually paying you. So yeah, and then you've also got to pay tax on it as well. So like, yeah. But it's definitely kind of like, you know, they tend to be pretty low price, but then it's all about like how many people you're kind of appealing to, I suppose, in that sense.
Yeah, there's always that thing of kind of, if it's cheaper, maybe you sell more than if it's more expensive.
But there's all sorts of people that'll, you know, that know a lot more about this, but there's a kind of a thing where some people might think like, oh, it's too cheap, it's maybe not very good. You know, like, so yeah, but I mean, that's, you know, if your previews and all that kind of thing come into it, it's like if people can see what it is and what they're getting. But yeah, that's how I kind of decide. Yeah, and I think like where am I now? Saying about maybe 3 years of just having things out there without doing any kind of marketing for it. And I've just with Teachers Pay Teacher, I've done zero marketing at all for that. But it's fun. Just get things out there if you've got them, and don't worry so much about kind of the sales side of things, or how much you're charging, because like if you've just got it there, then people gradually find it, and then I've just like not touched it, and then like over time you'll gradually get more people following you, more people buying things. I mean, I am a small fry on that platform. Like some people are just like, you know, they've got thousands like of sales for like one product, and I've maybe got like, you know, 20 or 30 for one, you know, thing, or, you know, but it does, the longer you're on there, the more your sales, they just consistently go up year after year. And yeah.
And we had a question come through as well with you mentioned how Teachers Pay Teachers tends to be more an American site. Have you had to adapt any of your materials for British and American English?
I was actually talking about this with Michelle Morgan the other day. What I did was I don't focus that much on literacy stuff in my resources, but I do include flashcards and mini cards and things like that with text cards in there. So I'll just add in the American spelling or alternative spelling. Like I did like this describing people thing as well. So sometimes it's just alternative words.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, well, do you want to call that this or this? Like, what do you prefer? So I will put the different preferences in there, and you can, because your resource can be as long as you like. But I think what might be a good idea is like just splitting it, so you have one version British English, one version American English. That's probably better, and it's not a problem to do that, because it's not at the creation stage, because it's not like you're having to kind of do everything again. And when you sell, it's easy to kind of sell two files together as a zip file. It doesn't have to be like a individual resource. So yeah, I would do that.
Well, before we have a look of your website, and you can give us a little bit of a quick tour around it, there was an interesting question that came up about whether, Teachers Pay Teachers, TES, whether they're aimed more at the young learner market. Obviously, that's your niche, so perhaps you're kind of less aware of that. Somebody mentioned Teachers Pay Teachers tends to be up to K-12, and TES, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is, you're talking about school-aged kids for sure, I think. But yeah, I don't know so much about, I just don't know anything about selling materials for adults, to be honest. Yeah, sorry, can't help you with that one.
No. I think I was just kind of mentioning it because somebody else then said, we're going to be online for a while, so having access to digital materials. So if anyone out there wants to create digital materials for adults, you've probably got quite a market within the hub as well.
Yeah, I know, because there's so many, like, I'm sure people that are watching this that know a lot more about that. I haven't focused on creating lots of digital content, but yeah, there's so many tools out there. There's one, I think a lot of people know about live worksheets. There's another one called Teacher Made, which I haven't done anything with, but it does a lot of the similar things as what live worksheets does. But I also think they're planning on having a marketplace on there as well, like at some point in the future, if you're interested in selling as well as sharing.
I mean, like you say as well, it is kind of getting yourself out there and marketing it and sharing it with people so that you can make a name for yourself. Fiona, do you want to show us your website?
I will show you. Just what's sharing my screen there. That's been one of my major mistakes. Is like I haven't really until very recently started connecting with people, and I'm amazed. Like, this is great in the hub, and but yeah, that's what's made. Even if you're not like doing things or you don't have your own website at the moment, like just sort of thinking about who you think your things would appeal to. And I had some really good advice the other day, which was because I have a lot of sort of self-doubt, and I'm like, well, is it any good? Is it not any good? And that's part of the reason why I've not, broadcasted this until now. But it's like, think about who you think your target customers would be and try and create a focus group. So basically you would kind of say like, get a few people together, maybe have a session on Zoom with them, get them to kind of navigate things, offer things for free, get feedback, from these people. I thought it was good advice. And what Harry said, and I'm going to get it wrong again.
The CPDELT podcast.
Yeah. So I never thought about that, but he mentioned on that, like, if say you created something, you just want to get a feel for whether this is something people want. He said put it on ESL printables and just and then you get feedback on that and see how many people download it. I think ISL Collective as well is another one you could try. I thought that was really good. I'm like, oh, I wish I'd done that. So the website is, well, that's the homepage, which I think needs to be updated. But as I said before, it started off more like kind of me curating content. So as stories I would use in my classes. I'd have the sort of the storytelling videos mainly to share with parents so they could watch at home, get a bit more exposure to English. And then I'd kind of connect the stories to different topics and have like songs that, and then I've got my packs listed as well. So, and yeah, the songs collections.
Wow. I mean, this is a lot of work.
It's more, yeah, but I mean, I did this mainly that kind of thing for myself because I just found as a teacher, like I was just spending ages like searching around YouTube and what thing, you know, not necessarily that I would play the song in class, but just that would give me an idea or what will tie in with this. So that's kind of, I'd kind of go to that to inspiration. I remember, what was it the other day? I was covering a class for active language, and it's like, oh, revise family. What's one of the things? Family stuff. They'd say, not family, sorry, home. And so like I couldn't really remember what were the stories I used with home. So like I'd go to home and be like, oh yeah, Peace at Last. I've got lots of stuff on that, and you know, what storybooks could tell. So I kind of use that sort of inspiration for my own things. And then the resources themselves, you know, you can kind of just search here. There's some, like, I'm trying to get more free things together, but if you're just interested, you can, some things are better than others. And then yeah, I've got my packs and stuff. So yeah, I'll explore. I did want to say actually, if it's okay, that if anyone is working with very young learners or young learners and wants to trial something, like, then just send me a message, like especially kind of the story packs or the topic packs, like, and I'll send you like a free copy and yeah, criticize me, because I think what a lot of people say when you do put things out there, they're nice, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's lovely, but like actually some real constructive criticism, that's kind of what you kind of need when you're doing it yourself as well. I think it's just, you know, well, actually that's not very practical for me because of this. I know like one friend said, well, if your packs are that long and you're supposed to like pick and choose the different bits, that's really hard for her to work with. So like she ended up printing out all these pages. I'm like, oh no, the trees. But yeah, if anyone does want anything, then please send me a message and I'll send you the material and you can have a go and let me know.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of fabulous messages coming in, having a look at the website, like how organized you are, and need to realize how good you are, Fiona, because I mean, it really is like quite incredible. I mean, obviously it started as something that was going to be just for you, but the way that it's grown and the materials that you've developed are really fantastic.
That's fun. I do enjoy it. So yeah, don't do it if you can't be bothered sort of being bullheaded and learning lots of things. Because yeah, bit of everything. I think it's good fun. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I don't know if anybody's got any other questions. I've tried to keep an eye on what was coming through. There was a question, I think, from Catherine about whether you taught yourself or whether you did a course, because I think her video froze. But all of this is you self-taught, isn't it? The
yeah, I kind of think I should have done a course. I do. Like, I mean, if you're interested in it, do it. Because like I've got another friend. He lives in the States now, actually, but he's UI something. You know more about courses, but like some of these free courses that are available, or like, you know, they're not very much, or donation, like to learn about like how to use graphics or to learn about like web design and JavaScript, and you know, you can do them, and I just didn't do them. So like I just used, like, you know, like different YouTube videos or forums, or just searching around and playing, because I get impatient as well. Like I'm like, oh, I'll just have a go, you know, and trial and error. So yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's on my to-do list as well, as I actually learn how to do it properly. I'm a bit scared because I'll realize how much I've done wrong. But yeah.
Yep, Claire's just mentioned Future Learn as well as having lots of free courses. Yeah, so, but like you say, there are so many resources available on YouTube for how-to videos and and
Yeah.
just kind of having the video and doing it yourself at the same time.
This is one thing I want to say. I mean, not exactly about the learning how to do things, but my goodness, please, photo, video, everything you do, because yeah, like, you know, we are in the world of video now, and so if you're creating a resource or you're doing something, like video yourself doing it, don't try and kill lots of birds with one stone, because like there's lots of things I want photos for now, and I don't have them, and it means redoing everything. So just get in the habit of that is what I would say. I wish I'd done that.
Now you're doing lots of like YouTube videos and social media, aren't you?
I'm playing with it. yeah, that's quite good fun. It's another wee thing to play with. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, no other questions are coming through, just lots of fabulous work and thank yous and things like that.
Well, thanks for listening to me wittering away. Do blather.
Wittering, but I mean, it's been so fascinating. And like it, you know, obviously the people that watch these webinars, it's because they're interested in it. So, you know, everything that you've said has just been really interesting and stuff that people can take away and things.
It's like I say, it's no risk. So if you're interested, just have a go. Like it's a wee hobby, and it might take you somewhere. It might not. You might get bored with it. But I mean, there's no harm in trying.
Yeah, you might make your millions from it.
You might make your millions.
I'm
not making any millions yet, but you know, there is potential. There is potential not to make millions, but you know, definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Fiona. And Fiona she's a very active member of the hub as well. So if you have any questions, do drop them on here. And then she said, if you want to take a look at any of the resources and give her some feedback, whether it's positive or constructive criticism, do drop her a line. And yeah, great to have you on, Fiona.
Thank you very much.
And everyone have a very good week, rest of the week. Next Tuesday, we've got the monthly management meetup. And then on Thursday, we'll be back with our coffee breaks. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.